Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be exploring this and this and this and also this. For those who love diving and for those who wonder what the hell is inside of those crazy looking like holes that are everywhere around in Mexico, this video is going to blow your mind. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Don't let my horrible sense of marketing destroy the future of flight number 6. To start off, this video was supposed to be a very good vlog, but because I was running from one cenote to another cenote, I made the mistake of not checking my footage and realized that my freaking microphone was broken. So I spent 2 days vlogging and asking loads of questions to all the Cavern guides, and all that information is gone. Imagine my depression. That was probably the most complete vlog I've ever done in my life. But don't get too sad about it, I'll give you all the information now. Alright, to start off, the first thing we need to know what the hell is a cenote. A cenote refers to an underground chamber or cave which contains permanent water. In other words, it's a natural sinkhole where the ceiling of the cave has collapsed. Cenotes come in all shapes and sizes. The most common types of cenote are cave, semi-open and open cenotes. Cave cenotes being the youngest and open cenotes being the oldest, as its caved ceiling has fallen into itself. There are more than 6,000 cenotes in all the Yucatan Peninsula, and in between Cancun and Tulum there are dozens of them. This was the first time Sardana was gonna dive on a cenote. Since it's basically fresh water, the buoyancy is very different to the salty water of the ocean, so we decided to start with a couple of dives that were a little bit less complicated. If you want to see how crazy different the cenotes are between each other, watch until the end of the video. Alright, the first cenote we did is called El Pit. I chose to come to this cenote because at the depth of 27 meters, you can find a hydrogen sulphide cloud. They would say, what the f is that, right? This cloud is made out of gases that have leaked out of decomposing trees and leaves that have fallen into the cenote. Gases accumulate where the fresh and the salt water meets, and that is called a halocline. Haloclining is when two bodies of water of different density come together, the salt and the fresh water, resulting in a line that basically makes you seem blurry. It is so trippy. I got so confused the first time I saw one. Suddenly you see like a layer on the top of you, you're thinking like, am I in the surface already or something? Once you cross it, it's all sci-fi blurry vision. Once you come down, there's nothing, I had no idea that existed before I saw it live. Our instructor Marcelo, who is very knowledgeable, made sure that we had the best experience underwater. Let's stop talking, let me show you around. First dive, El Pit. Amazing, right? For that specific dive, you need to have your second diving license, which is the Advanced Open Water. Why do I call this an easy dive if we're going so deep? Well, most of the divings that you do in the cenotes are cave or cavern diving. And from my point of view, it's a little bit more sketchy because if you don't control your buoyancy properly, you might hurt the ecosystem or you might hit yourself against the top or the bottom or rocks. El Pit is one of those cenotes that is only accessible for divers. So one of the pros of this sport in the cenotes is sometimes you get very beautiful locations just for you and not for the rest of the tourists. The con is that the entrance fee of those diving sites are usually more expensive than the regular entrance. But it's completely understandable because we are using our skill to explore the cenote much better than other people. The second and the third dive that I did on this video was in Cenote Dos Ojos, which is very close to El Pit. For that reason, the price of diving in the both of them together is cheaper than if you would buy it individually. The entrance fee, apart from whatever you're paying to your guide, is about 570 Mexican pesos, which is around $30. Cenote Dos Ojos is actually very popular for tourists, so that means that there are a lot of organized tours going there and it's usually very crowded. But luckily for us, diving is a little bit more private and underwater, we usually are alone. Even though this dive is on very shallow water, maximum depth I think is 9 meters, once we go forward a little bit, we got told that you can enter on a bad cave. Sorry for the spoiler. Let me show you how those ojos look like inside.
They were open 25%, now it's 50%.
If you are in Tulum, El Pit and Dos Ojos are a very good option for you to dive. They are much closer to the city than the other cenotes that appear on the video, and as far as I know, they are very popular because it's very accessible for newer divers. Dos Ojos is a very shallow dive, so many open water ventured themselves on their first cenote experience in here. Marcelo gave us a very good price because we have friends in common, so I will not say the price out of respect, but the average that you pay for 2 cenote dives is around 100 and 120 USD, without including the entrance fee. Big shout out to him because he made our trip very interesting. But now we're gonna take the big guns here. For this, we need to understand first what the concept of enriched air nitrox means. In diving terms, enriched air nitrox refers to any nitrogen-oxygen gas mixture with an oxygen concentration higher than the 21% found in normal air. The most common percentage of a nitrox dive is 32% oxygen. The higher percentage of oxygen and proportionally the lower percentage of nitrogen allows diver to expand the no decompression limits, shorten surface intervals, and it gets an added safety buffer for decompression sickness in certain circumstances. To resume the complex explanation of the nitrox dive, having more oxygen and reducing the quantity of nitrogen leads to expand the bottom time of the dive almost the double in certain circumstances. Because of how amazing these 2 dives are, Sardana and I went with our friends and Cavern guides Emilio and Sarah. If you thought the other 2 cenotes were impressive, wait until the end of the video. Cenote Maravilla is located in the Ruta de los Cenotes around Puerto Morelos. For you to take perspective, these cenotes are in the middle of f***ing anywhere. I flew the drone just to see where was the oceans since we drove less than an hour from Playa del Carmen. And this is what we saw, jungle and more jungle. We saw it in El Pit, but the reason why I wanted to come here is for the same reason that I went there. It has the craziest cloud of ácido sulfúrico there is on this area. This area is also very popular for free divers. Imagine their vision when they're going down with one breath and on 30 meters you have like this crazy cloud. When you enter, nothing. Since we had the nitrox, and since this is a cavern where there's not much room to get lost, I experienced the most freedom I've ever had underwater. It's a little bit irresponsible from all of us to separate each other from each other's mates for such a long time, but the emotion of being alone down there playing with the cloud, it was definitely worth the scare. You'll see what I'm talking about. As we finished Cenote Maravilla, we headed to our last destination, which was called Cenote Zapote. This prehistoric park has 2 open cenotes and 2 underground cenotes with more than 10,000 years old. This cavern dive is named Hell's Bells. It's called like that because of the formations that lays inside of it. Once we cross the 21-meter descent, once you leave the tight cavern, it opens up to a large room which looks a little bit green, and under us there's another gigantic hydrogen sulfide cloud. This place entered on the history of humanity because of the discovery of a giant sloth. It was found in between 50 and 55 meters deep, and currently there are scientific studies being performed on the skeleton of the body under that hydrogen sulfide cloud. It's considered to be one of the weirdest dives in the world. I'm gonna read this as well because it is very hard. The Hell's Bells are speleothems that appear to have formed through complex interplays between the water of the cave, microorganisms living in the cave, and the surface of the cenotes. Carbonate deposits or carbonate speleothems in caves appear to usually form when evaporation or carbon dioxide escaping from the water causes calcite to become saturated, which then precipitates and forms the deposits. These bells seem to belong to this underwater type, as there is very little evidence of them being exposed to the air. The neighbor's sinkhole can contain also these kind of structures, but not as big as they are in here. And apparently you can't find them anywhere else in the world. The reason is unknown. For some reason, these structures tend to grow away from obstacles, and there's not such a place in the world as far as we were told. It has this kind of thing that grows the other way that regular speleothems do. They start very thin on the top, and the more it grows, the fatter and fatter it gets. And notice the more that I talk, the weirder it sounds. Let me show you. The prices, again, because we are friends of Emilio and Sarah, we got a very good offer for them. We paid $90 for both of them, when usually it costs around $120, $140 to do these 2 dives. Plus the entrance fee, which was around 600 Mexican pesos, which is around, again, $30. I never even imagined that these kind of places existed. And the craziest thing, it's basically under the most touristic part of Mexico. So if you're a diver, don't miss them out. It's absolutely worth the money. If you're not a diver and you want to get into it, consider getting your first diving certification, which is the open water, and have a taste of the many things the underwater has to offer. Out of the sudden, the world expands and the water becomes a familiar environment. I hope this video explained to you a bit why diving is such a rewarding sport. I learned so many things every time I put a tank on my back, and I hope this helped you a little bit to take the decision to actually dive in the cenotes. One last thing. There are hundreds of cenotes in these areas, and there are many of them that are still being discovered right now, which means that there are a lot of incredible experiences in this area that I haven't explored either. Search, don't be shy to ask the guides, and find the ones that you feel that you want to explore. And if you know some of them that also have great diving, write them on the comment section so me and other people can check them out. Thank you so much for staying with me until now. I put so much effort into this video and I really appreciate people taking the time to watch my content. The best possible way to support to the channel, do you know what it is? Please subscribe if you haven't done it yet, activate the notification button, like the video, and be happy. Positive vibration makes me work better. Hope you enjoy it. See you in the next adventure.
You might need to do it another time. Oh no. No, it's better than last.